I just wanted to thank everybody for their commitment to our students and showing this way with our school-based health centers, the mobile clinics. We are leveraging the assessment done at McKinley Middle School in community schools, which is identified as a high need for healthcare services. And so they will be getting one as well. And so we're really excited about this work that we're going to be doing and more of the mobile clinics to come. So just wanted to thank everybody for that. I don't see Danette on. If she has anything else to add, she was also present.
Dr. Blakey, we do have Margot Mestis from the Behavioral Health Initiative of Bernalillo County, and also Autumn Aragon, who I'll allow to speak since she isn't a panelist at the moment, who is one of the providers, if they had any comments.
Perfect. Margot, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that you covered it really well, but I would like to also share my appreciation to the community schools, ABC community schools. The coordinators have been extremely involved in getting Health Yeah on track. We plan to start providing services on Monday at McKinley and at Truman. They're going to be rotating between those two schools. They're accepting referrals through the schools, through the community coordinators, through the principals, the school nurses, teachers, and they're also going to be part of the Unitas closed loop referral system that the county and the city of Albuquerque are collaborating on. So we're really looking forward to a soft launch. We anticipate learning a lot, which is exciting, but also we're ready for that, and any pivots that we need to do on behalf of the BHI and the county, we're ready for that. So just wanted to share a warm thank you to all of you for your support, and looking forward to what's to come. Oh, also we have the second unit is ordered. It's finished. We should be getting that in Albuquerque within the next couple of weeks. The county does their inspection on the vehicle, and then we'll be able to wrap that one with the Health Yeah logo, and we'll have 2 other additional schools will be added as soon as that rolls out. And then we have the third unit that's on order, but that one will not probably arrive for a couple of years. It takes a long time to build the medical part on top of the chassis. So more to come as far as more units.
Great, thank you for the update. Autumn, do you have anything to add?
Good morning. I don't have anything to add. Just want to introduce myself. I'm going to be the therapist on the first unit for Health Yeah. So I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. I also wanted to just follow up on the resolution that we did in August. So the ABC School Community School Partnership now does have the EIN number and is registered with the IRS as a recognized legal entity. So thank you all for your help on that resolution, and we were able to move forward with the number. So thank you, everybody. We also will be hosting 70 community school practitioners from Hawaii and Alaska coming up October 21st through the 23rd. We are working closely on this with the Institute for Educational Leadership and NEA New Mexico Center for Community Schools. They will be visiting Del Norte, Wilson Middle School, Los Padillas Elementary School, and also taking a special trip to Cochiti Pueblo. And so Brian Garcia is on, and Brian, if you could share a little bit more with us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Board Chair Dr. Blakey and members of the board and audience. And just a real quick note, if you don't mind, Miss Deanna, if you could send Dr. Salazar the link for this meeting. He'll be all set here in a few minutes. And so with regards to this visit that we're really excited about, which I think is going to be a learning opportunity for us as well, in regards to the panel that we're going to be putting on, is really trying to highlight the relationship between 5 things. And I know 5 things is a lot of things, but that's what it takes to really create this ecosystem that we have here at ABC. And so that relationship is between policy, strategy, practice, support, and outcomes. In talking to the folks from Hawaii, they weren't as interested, ironically, in policy. They wanted to just say, we want to know the practices. But I think what we help them understand is without policy, without strategy, you really don't have a foundation for practice. And so we just want to say that this would not be possible in regards to this panel and the work that we're doing without the leadership of our board chair as our superintendent, our district leadership, as well as shared governance structures such as this board and all the entities that you represent, the commissions, the councils, the boards, organizations, institutions, and community. And so we thank you for all that you do. And of course, really look forward to this opportunity of sharing these cohesive strategies and how they really connect with each other and help our folks from Alaska and Hawaii really help put it all together as they come visit the land of enchantment. Thank you so much, Board Chair Dr. Blakey, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Great, thank you, Brian. And it's always great when we're able to, have visitors come and learn what we're doing that's going well. I know we all can learn from each other, and being able to teach is just as fun as being able to learn. So we're excited about that. If you are interested in participating in the panel, if you can please let an ABC staff member know, and we will follow up with you on the details. So if you are interested, please let an APS staff member know about that.
Okay. Dr. Blakey, do you mind if I just mention a quick thing about the panel? So it would just be a very short context setting of the ABC partnership and how it was formed and what you all do. The Hawaii is, interestingly, is one school district, the entire state. So all of the islands are in one district, and they are bringing district level folks and state level folks with them. And so they have a backbone organization that's kind of like ABC, but it's a nonprofit. So I think we just wanted to show them sort of how ABC functions. So you would be also treated to lunch provided by the Highland High School culinary arts students. And you would only need to be there for, you could stay for I think it's an hour and a half. You could stay the whole time, or you could just come at the beginning, set the context and leave. But it will be at Del Norte in the beautiful library. So if you are interested in participating there, I can forward you the calendar invite with instructions and directions for parking and stuff. You could go ahead and either put that in the chat now, or you can email me or any of the ABC staff. Sorry, thank you for letting me add those details.
Great, thank you, Deanna. Just a quick reminder that our new board goal that we worked on is to create organic spaces that ignite students, families, school staff, and community members to foster authentic solutions and facilitate responsive decision-making that empowers them to develop the skills, knowledge, abilities, and mindsets needed to succeed in life, college, and career. So by the next meeting, everybody has to memorize that. We'll be testing everyone. But Deanna will be contacting you, the members of the board who wanted to be part of the small group in planning out what we will do to fulfill the goal. If you recall, we were working on a small group to work on that. So if you are part of that small group, we haven't forgotten about you, and Deanna will be reaching out to you. There are some ABC staff announcements that we're really excited to share with all of you. Deanna has been invited by the Netter Center at the University of Pennsylvania, and she will be presenting on our strong collaboration with the UNM School of Law and community schools in November. And so again, another great way to highlight the work that we're doing here in Albuquerque, and she will be sharing it with the University of Pennsylvania. So good luck to you, Deanna. We're trusting that you will do a great job as always, sharing the work that we're doing. So thank you. Before we move to the next item of business, I just wanted to see if we could get an approval for the agenda. For those of you that have seen it, if we can get a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move we approve. This is Barbara.
Thank you.
This is Eric, second.
Thank you. And this minutes from September, we have also shared that in a link for all of you. If we could get, if you have time to look that over, if we can get a motion in a second to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve. It's Chris.
Thank you.
I'll second. This is Eric.
Thank you, Eric. So we have a motion and a second, and it doesn't look like anybody is very against the approval of minutes, so we will move forward. So we're excited today to highlight Community School Essentials Key Practices in Action. And I think, as we've mentioned before, we have in Albuquerque Public Schools incorporated community school partnerships and success systems into one of our guardrails as part of our governing structure for goals and guardrails. And so today we have Dr. Kenny Salazar, who is the Associate Superintendent in Albuquerque Public Schools, to present on the work that is being done in this guardrail. And so, Dr. Salazar, I turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Superintendent Blakey. I'm very excited to be able to join you all and to share what we're doing in Albuquerque Public Schools with Goal 4. And so our motto is Goal 4 is everywhere. And so we are seeing it as a foundation to everything that we do for our students to ensure that our students feel safe and they enjoy school. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into the work that we're going to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect the goals and guardrails, and specifically Goal 4, and specifically guardrails 1 and 4, to the community school strategy and the key practices. I just wanted to share with you just the overall critical actions that we have with Goal 4 before we get into the connections to our community schools framework. And so if you don't know, Goal 4 is focused on the skills, habits, and mindsets of students. So when we look at this, and whoever's controlling the PowerPoint, you'll have to work with me on the transitions. But our first one is self-efficacy, and that is what we're focusing on, surveying our students, which actually our students are going to get surveyed starting October 15th through the 25th. We'll be able to gather our data for our fall survey results. So we'll be surveying them on self-efficacy, social awareness, perseverance, and self-regulation. So those are the 4 that make up the skills, habits, and mindsets for Goal 4. And when you're looking at the critical actions, we're looking at attendance, our community schools, student success systems, out of school time, restorative approaches, mental and behavioral health of students, students' next step plans, principal advisory councils, authentic family engagement. So all these are part of our main strategic plan that I, myself and my team are implementing to ensure that we are increasing student outcomes for skills, habits, and mindsets. And so let's go ahead and get started with the connection of today. So what we're going to do today is look at these key practices. So I'm going to have the circle to the left, and then how it aligns to a guardrail or a goal critical action. So we'll go through each one of these and be able to show you key practices in action. So our first one we're going to focus on is integrated systems of support. Just like Superintendent Blakey stated, we do have a very specific interim guardrail 1.1 for community schools that focuses on not only partnerships, but integrated systems of support partnerships. And this will be utilized and measured by community school coordinators and their leverage tracker that they use. And what we're doing is we're looking at specifically, how do we grow instructional systems of support partnerships throughout the district? We're looking at how we can integrate those partnerships within the school's 90-day plan. We're also looking at the growth of community schools in general to make sure all priority emerging have that kind of framework. We are also talking about growing our memos of understanding with the growth of community schools district-wide, and also student safety with our partnerships. and ensuring that we are very collaborative in a lot of these planning. What I also want to share is Guardrail 1.1 is also connected to oh, sorry, if you go back one more time. Let's see. Oh, sorry, we'll get back to that. I'm sorry, you were correct. Yeah, keep going, sorry. So next one I want to talk to you about is community schools also has another specific interim guardrail, which is Guardrail 4.1. And this is the number of community school council meetings held by community school coordinators at schools. And so we are looking at how do we be consistent in the data of ensuring that not only community schools have this expectation that you are required to facilitate and coordinate these community school councils, but also looking to increase those to at least 2 per month, which is we've visited a lot of schools in our visits this year, and that is a challenge that we are working with our schools with. We're also looking at how do we connect the community school council with the instructional council and bring an alignment to the school's 90-day plan. And then also another thing that we're going to be focusing on as well is how do we at least have one family representative even in our community school councils to be a part of that work. And in addition to our guardrail 4.1, which is the community school councils, we do have an interim guardrail 4.2, which focuses on instructional councils, which that's kind of where we talked about is we want to make sure that we have community and family voice with this shared collaborative leadership and shared power of voice, which is part of that key practice. And so what we're doing in this particular guardrail is we're looking at defining the engagement metrics of we don't necessarily want a compliance effort. We want to make sure that not only do we have a family representative, but are they actively engaging and fostering and being authentic into that process and structure. And so that's what we're going to focus on in this particular guardrail and in actions in Albuquerque Public Schools, and make sure that we are targeting those opportunities of family voice with this shared decision making. Again, aligning the community schools councils with the instructional councils, and how does that alignment look with that shared power and voice. We also have a brand new instructional interim guardrail, which is principal advisory councils. This in direction with our Superintendent Blakey's vision in June, she suggested that we have principal advisory councils made up of students. Now, these aren't just your student council students. These are a diverse student group at your school that would give you some opportunities to see how things are from a student's perspective, and to really look at building powerful student and family engagement, but also empowering students to be a collaborative leader in certain aspects of the work. One example that I went to was a school, it was their first principal advisory council that I was able to observe. And the students were talking about that there was a door that when it slammed, it would scare them. And so the principal was like, well, that's a very easy fix that I can do. So they fixed the door, and the students were amazed that that the school was listening to them. And so it built that shared collaborative, and just with a very simple door sound, which as adults, we may overlook as like, that's a door slamming, but to them, it was distracting their learning. And so that was just a very easy fix. And we were able to uncover that with this principal advisory council structure. And so what we're doing is really looking at how do we build consistency across the district, because this would be in elementary, middle school, and high school of listening to these students. And so how do we train principals in the school leadership to do that? And then also provide some ideas for students to be able to be a leader in their area that are part of this principal advisory council. So this is a brand new structure that we have in Albuquerque Public Schools, and the principals are loving it. Students are loving it. And so this is a great activity, and I'm excited to see the evolution of it over time, as right now the expectation is a once a month meeting with principal advisory councils. And so really excited to see the outcomes and visible actions that principals are taking, listening to student voice. And then we also have an interim guardrail 1.2, which is our student success systems. So this is a system that schools have, and this is primarily focused on middle school and high school, where we look at early warning systems and how do we leverage the data. We are a very data rich district. However, what do we do once we get the data? And how do we tier out those interventions? And how do we really look at the child holistically? And we are able to utilize our skills, habits, and mindset survey to really give an idea of a wraparound scenario of the social emotional learning of the kiddos, along with their attendance, along with their behavior, and along with their coursework, to really truly give an authentic wraparound support for the kiddos that are in middle school and high school. And so this is part of the key practices of the culture of belonging, safety, and care, building in that sense of belonging, which is part of Panorama and the survey that kids take, as well as looking at rigorous community connected instructional instruction. I will be honest that I think, and Mr. Garcia will agree with me, is that we are really looking at the rigorous community connected classroom instruction key principle as something that we really want to desire to focus towards in the future. And one of the components that I have shared with my team is what truly is a community school teacher? What's the difference between a non-community school teacher and a community school teacher? And how do we look at the classroom and really look at how do we make a rigorous community connected classroom for students in our class? And so that is something that we are looking at very specifically, and hopefully we'll be digging into a little bit deeper as we continue this work. And this is just a summary slide of all the key practices in action and the guardrails that we have and the interim guardrails that are connected to those that really kind of drive our work as our Goal 4 team that we have, as well as our community schools that Brian works with the principals and the coordinators and ABC. And so we really look at how do we truly share the story of community schools, how we grow community schools, but also how do we demonstrate and tell the narrative of effective community schools, and how do we replicate those to ensure that we have high expectations, high consistency, elementary, middle school, and high school, to provide authentic, truly authentic wraparound supports for our kids to ensure that they are successful in their work. And so this is just a really brief opportunity to be able to, and I think this opportunity to be able to talk to you all about it, to be able to show you key practices in action, how it aligns to our goals and guardrails, and just kind of giving you this really overview of that. So I appreciate your time, and let me know if we have any questions or any next steps.
Thank you, Kenny. And with that, I know Kenny has to get to another meeting, but we have about 5 minutes if anybody has any questions for Dr. Salazar. Any questions? Dr. Bernstein.
Hi, sorry I was late today, computer issues. So that was a great presentation, and I want to make sure that we're connecting what you presented there with teachers. And I was thinking, Kenny, what do you think about presenting what you're talking about to my union reps in November? So, because I think it gets lost sometimes when there's not multiple connections. We have to be redundant with communication, or maybe have a special presentation for people who work in community schools. So it's, because it's not the whole district. Would you be interested in doing that?
Hello, Dr. Bernstein. Glad to see you back. I hope you had a great time too. It's glad to see you back in town. Yeah, I would love that. I was talking to Brian too, that we need to share this with the community coordinators as well, and the principals, that this is the work that's aligned. It's not something in addition to that we're doing. It's really connected, and I love that opportunity to really look at there's some research that Brian and I have been able to look at with community schools and community school teachers, that I would really be excited to engage in that work to really see how we can promote it inside that classroom of that rigorous community-centered instruction.
Well, and just another connection, Sonia Romero Autry was working last year with the Lead and Learns, Thank you, Deanna, for that connection that she just texted me, so I didn't forget the name of it. And the whole point is teachers, I'm a teacher in a community school, and the community school strategy is over there. And here's my teaching over here. And you made that point in your presentation about the essential connection. What does a teacher in a community school look like, and how is that enriched or different because we are a community school? And she was making that connection with the lead and learns, but I think we need to keep that, we need to drill deeper and make more connections around that with the teachers in our community schools. So thank you. I will connect with you and work on that.
Thank you. Danette.
Thank you very much for that. It's so exciting to see such intentional alignment with the strategy to pieces of data that we can measure to see how well we are implementing the strategy and how the school district and the board have designed it to be implemented. And I had a couple, I want to echo what Ellen said. We've made significant investments from the ABC side in the lead and learn to be able to develop that process with ATF. And I think that it's really important to recognize with the board that those things, like when we look at what leveraging resources and developing resources, that it's necessary if we want to move this forward. I would say that ABC has invested, after this year, will be about $60,000 in the lead and learn process. And so to sustain those, we need to look at how does this board collectively come together to fund that effort, including Sonia's role through the federal grant is how that's being paid for. But my question is, how or can community schools leverage their community school council and the fact that student voice should be sitting at that table, regardless of the grade level, to not have to either double the principal's time with one more meeting, one more effort, and also then having to really push hard and pay attention to aligning the two so they don't end up operating in silos. And is it possible for integration of that in a community school so that students are right at the table with the adults and the community members that are also making decisions, right? In a community school, is it possible for those to be one and the same? Or how would that work for a community school?
Thanks, Danette. Great to see you. And good morning. I think that to first talk about the community school teacher, I think that's an amazing opportunity. That's something that I truly think that if we are to support teachers in the classroom and really look at how do we truly engage them through the community school coordinator. An example that I have in mind just with that before I get to the question is, there was an opportunity where I was supporting a school in my previous roles, and the community school coordinator was so excited because they were able to share 50 turkeys during Thanksgiving, right? And they're like, we did 50 turkeys, that's great. And so I kind of like got the steam out because I said, well, that's great. How did you connect it to academics? And he's like, oh, and so it's like, let's build in that academic piece of it. So here's your turkey, but also here's how you look at parent view. Here's when our next family engagement time is. And so that's what that was that kind of that authentic is how do we connect it to the academics of it. And so that's a reminder. I think that's there's a lot of growth in that area that I think is a gold mine that can really look at to be able to build authentically the skills, habits, and mindsets in an intentional way. And to talk about your question, I think that one of the beauties that we have with getting student voice and building that is really looking at how do we then get to the next level of being in our formal structures such as instructional council, community school councils. I'll tell you that when principals started the principal advisory council structures at their schools, there was a lot of excitement from the students. And so I think we can leverage some of that work and excitement to say you are part of a principal advisory council. However, there are a lot more leadership opportunities that you can be a part of, and we need your voice to make some of these decisions because their perspectives are so genuine and so and so specific and focused that we could really utilize some of that perspective in those areas. But I think we could really leverage some of the success we've seen with Guardrail 4.3, the principal advisory councils, and starting to engage student voice and also family voice in our formal structures as well.
Thank you. I would also just sort of encourage at least a representation. So if the principal advisory council is going to happen, that there's two to, at least two students that can sit on the community school council, being their representatives and carrying the voice of their peers through the work that they've done on the advisory council, so that it never gets lost. Because we know we have a hard time even with the instructional council and the community school council staying connected. So to build out this student structure with an intentionality of sitting at the table from the very beginning, then we won't have to backtrack on that, and students can, be elevated, their voice can be elevated to multiple places. So thank you so much for moving all that work forward, to you as well, Brian.
Thank you. I know we need to let Kenny go, but it sounds like we have one more question if you have time, Dr. Salazar. Board Member Dominguez.
Yes, this is an exciting presentation, and so thank you for your thoughts, Mr. Salazar. I just want to echo that, first of all, I love the idea of making systemic changes, right? And so making every meeting count and bringing into that meeting, bringing into the fold community at every level. And that also means expanding our notion of teacher to educator. So we're including EAs we want to build the pipeline. So let's include those EAs and counselors and whatnot. So, and parents, because I think parents are also part of a pipeline, potentially. I really wanted to weigh in on, so in that line of thinking systemically, I would love to see you present to the entire educator union network, because if we can get it from the ground up, then we're not repeating, or we aren't so disconnected. And that's part of the feedback, right, that we get, and which our superintendent is trying to address. Let's get everybody on the same page, as many people as we can from the ground up. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Salazar.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. We are going to move to a couple of quick items and then come back to some more community school essentials we wanted to present this morning. So first, I just wanted to give notice to a little revision from the resolution that we did at the last meeting. If you recall, we had a resolution that added the language requiring that legislator be on the community school, on the ABC board. And we have changed the language a little bit just to make sure that there's a represented body from either different districts or from different chambers. And so rotating it, because there's only one seat, yet it's a large legislative body. So the new language that we worked on says, when appointing a member of the legislature, the ABC board shall consider equal representation across all legislative districts and both bodies of the legislature, and vote annually to confirm appointment. So Deanna's putting that language in the chat just for your review. If you have any heartburn about it, if you can please let us know, and we'll see how we can revise it. But the intent is to make sure that it encompasses that as we have a member of the legislative body, that we take into account representation of both chambers, and it's voted annually, which doesn't mean that it has to be a new person every year, but it means that every year it'll be visited to see if it's a time to get a different chamber position or whatnot. So if you could also just review that language in the chat. We also need to decide which legislative member to invite from the board and or for the board, and who from the board would reach out with an invitation. So if Deanna, I don't know if we want to have that as a discussion, or if people have individuals that they think might be interested, they meet with them to get their input on if it's something that would be interested, and then bring the names to the board. Do you have a preference or a suggestion?
Who sponsored the bill? Deanna and Danette. Who was our sponsor?
Oh, for the Community Schools Act?
Yeah.
It was Liz Thompson, but we had a number of
Co-signers.
isn't that, yeah, Joy Garrett, there were a number of folks. Meredith Dixon has been super active, although now she's she's a vice chair of the LFC. I think I would like to make a recommendation that maybe everyone could send the names to Deanna and narrow down like where they crossed over. And then possibly some of the elected officials that are sitting on the board could reach out, and we could be kind of intentional around it. I want to be really, really careful about how we approach this. ABC doesn't typically get legislative funding at all for community schools. That usually goes to our partners as the county and ABC as an entity. But I also know that we are working on a lot of legislative, things. Brian's co-chairing the House Memorial 44 Task Force, which is really focused on certification and sustainable funding for community school coordinators. So as we think through it, I know there's a lot of people on this board that have extensive legislative experience. I want to make sure that we don't inadvertently ask someone to be on our board that might trip us up when it comes to making that request, because APS all of our coordinators but one work in APS or in a charter school that is either state or APS affiliated. So we want to make sure that you all, by being on the board and having someone on the board, it doesn't impact the funding that we might be able to access down the road for the community school coordinator position or anything else. And unfortunately, last time we were having this discussion, I was in my car and I couldn't get my phone off mute to be able to ask those questions. So if I could possibly just make a request that we send those names and then vet them a little bit more. None of them are going to agree till after the session anyway, I would imagine at this point. I think that might help us be mindful. I think it's important that someone is here from the state level, given all the challenges we've had with the state work in the last year and a half. But we also have great access right now, and I wouldn't want to mess that up.
So I think that that's a fine recommendation, and it makes sense. We aren't on a tight timeline for this. So, and I know that the legislators are in a busy whirlwind. So meeting with them to ask them if they want to do this, it's not good timing right now anyway. So I think that that's fair to just, if you have people that you would like to recommend, if you can reach out to Deanna, and then we can vet the list a little bit and see if there are duplication of people as well, and that might help guide us. So if you can do that before the next board meeting, just send names of people that you think may be interested, and then we can work on the next steps. Great. So we're going to go back to the community school essentials. We have a couple more things we really want to highlight. The first is a community conversation event that was held at Mountain View Elementary School. And the reason that this is being highlighted as supportive infrastructure is because it's a great example of how community schools really operate as a hub of their community to build trusting relationships to center the voice and the will of the community to inform policy. And so this is a great example that we wanted to share. And I believe Danette is on, Catherine Ramsey. I don't know if the community school coordinator and the principal are on as well, but I will turn it over to Danette to get us started, and then I can't see the list to see if the principal and the community school coordinator are on as well. So I turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. I will be fairly quick because I do believe I saw, yeah, Catherine is present. I saw her face somewhere. I just want to say one of the priorities for Bernalillo County is to really increase not only the engagement with community, but also the depth in which community has a voice in the governing process. And this was a pilot. You know, I come from a community school lens with everything I do. And so really working with other deputy county managers and departments to kind of bring people together to not overtax our community, but to authentically make sure the community has information and then has the opportunity to give voice. And then with that, we take authentic consideration of what they're saying. And part of that was to, you know, we have community facilities, obviously community centers with the county, but also families are a huge part of the community. And when we're talking about a lot of these issues, it is impacting families greatly. And they tend to have the least amount of voice in the process because they're busy. And so looking at our community schools as places where we can gather, this is why this meeting happened here instead of at the Kiki Saavedra Community Center, was because we wanted it to be where people gather. We wanted to highlight community schools. And I gotta say, I hadn't been to Mountain View in many, many moons, and nor worked with Principal Ramsey, or the coordinator for that matter. And it was just, as always with a community school, amazing to see the energy, the commitment, the willingness, yes, in their heart from the get-go. This was at night. They had a long day. It was wonderful. And the community had nothing but amazing things to say. So I will stop there and let Principal Ramsey talk about how she felt the meeting went.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Ramsey, principal at Mountain View Elementary, and this was truly a pleasure for us to host this event. Bernalillo County brought in entities from Parks and Rec, Public Works, Natural Resources, Planning and Development, all serious issues that are changing and shifting within our school community. So what better way to have those conversations than at a school? I feel like our belief is truly that schools provide that nostalgic feeling. It was great to meet community members that have been to Mountain View, that their grandkids go to Mountain View. So it really opened a space for honest and that open mindset to have these conversations. As community members and families roved to all the different booths, they asked questions. They were communicating with each other through collaborative conversations. I kept telling everybody, it was such a warm, inviting evening to see this many people together in our school to talk about the issues that are occurring within our community. And I want to give Daisy Aguilar, she's our community coordinator. She's on here. She's on vacation taking her family to Disneyland, yay. But she just tuned in. So all of this is truly her approach to shared governance and constantly thinking about those strategic partnerships is ongoing in her work. And it is very clear through the events like this. And this is really one step into what we believe about being the hub for the school community. We have a large population of our students at Joy Junction. And we are really thriving to also be a hub for them so that our students can go from Joy Junction to here. We have family nights. We implemented a family night at Joy Junction for the first time to where we go to them. We understand the different struggles and transportation. And so we're really making those steps forward and putting ourselves out there. Also, not everybody coming to us, but us going to them, such as the Mountain View Community Neighborhood Association. And then along with the Mountain View Community Garden, we're giving back to them as well. So that shared partnerships where we're also giving back as well. But we welcome another opportunity like this any day. It was wonderful. And it was great to meet members that have extensive history within this community, I learned a lot as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing. And Daisy, I don't know if you're on It's a Small World or you have you're able to talk, but if you have anything to add.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the car right now and I'm listening to everything. But yeah, I mean, it was just the invitation was like, if we want to just be able to open the doors for community members, and I mean, our school holds like a large population of such community members, and so we thought it was a no-brainer, and so we opened the doors and we just did what we had to do so that whoever needed to be present, you know, they have like the warm feeling for the school, they know kind of where the school is, and so we just want to be those open doors for our community and all of our people around us. So it was lovely, it was great, and we can't wait to continue. We want to actually like expand the themes about like the Parks and Rec and what the students want to see in our fall festival. So we just can't wait to continue working together and building connections and bridges between Bernalillo County, Albuquerque Public Schools, and then our community, our students and our families. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us while you're on vacation. That means a lot. And it's a great example of bringing the community together at your school as well, Catherine. So thank you all for your partnership and opening your doors to the community as well.
Sure. If I could also just add, I just want to recognize Commissioner Quesada for he paid for the entire thing. We had a local a person who facilitated the meeting, who is a local researcher and facilitator whose family and they all still live in the neighborhood, and he grew up there, went to Mountain View, which was really important. We also had a food truck and and he covered the Commissioner Quesada covered the cost of that. And so it was really an impressive effort of leveraging all of our all of our assets within that community, from the county to ABC to the school district to the local community members. And I think that area has a lot of challenges. I know Commissioner Olivas has been two of the things that we were talking about there were a resolution and funding that he's put forth to improve that neighborhood. So it was really a beautiful example of how the school and the community and local governments work together to really address historical challenges and make sure that the right people or that the people have a voice at the table where they might not have otherwise. So we appreciate everyone who contributed to that.
Great.
Can I add one thing real quick? I'm sorry, but stemming from this opportunity, we were able to leverage this relationship now with Bernalillo County and Parks and Rec. And I know Daisy mentioned it, but she was kind of muffled a little bit because she's in travel. But they're coming back out to our fall festival, and they're going to bring their presentation more immediately to our families and seek that feedback on the areas and development. And then from there, we're going to extend that into a project-based learning opportunity for our students to then design a park. What does this park look like for Mountain View community, and in what area? And so this was, again, just an opportunity of really all the events that are occurring outside of our school community. How do we bring them in? And how do we filter them back out? So it's really exciting. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for sharing your work. So thank you. Next, in support of infrastructure, we want to give an update on an exciting visit we had to Nashville to visit the Academies of Nashville. This is part of Nashville Public Schools. And I had the opportunity to visit in, I think it was 2019. And it was really hard to explain to people unless you actually go. And so otherwise people just think of it as being a very like traditional academy structure of high schools. But when you're able to go and actually see what it is they're doing, then I think it opens our eyes to the possibilities of helping our high schools with relevancy and connecting our students and bringing the community together as well to really invest in our high school students and bringing relevant education to them. And so we had a really large team go out, and I feel like every meeting I've been in the last week, somebody says, "Oh, I was with the team at Nashville." And so I'm learning there are a lot of people that went, which is great. Again, because when I went, I was a zone associate superintendent at the time. So there were like 4 of us that went, and we didn't have the opportunity to really build it up. And after 2019 came obviously 2020. And so it lost a lot of momentum. So I was really excited that the team went, and I know Rodney, Terry, Ernie, Ellen wasn't there, but her staff was there. And so I want to turn it over to the team to share thoughts on what they took away from it. And we'll start with Rodney, if you can lead off the discussion.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Blakey. This is certainly a wonderful and exciting time in education in Albuquerque. And so just to kind of level set again about what a wall-to-wall career academy is, it is a number of different efforts that are combined to really create strong and positive student outcomes. And so this started in Nashville more than 20 years ago when the state was getting ready to take over the school district because they were graduating students at 58%. You know, fast forward 20 plus years later, graduation rates much higher. They are now a model for the community when it comes to engagement, not just within the education system, but across sector, because this is not successful unless it is a cross-sector, authentic partnership with a neutral intermediary kind of serving as the facilitator or the glue that holds everything together. That's why in communities where Forward Next Generation Learning, which leads this effort, has a footprint, there has been sustainability because it's not subject to the changes that sometimes happen with the district administration. So it's sustainable over time. So there's a couple of different aspects to an academy. It's a small personalized environment. It's a partnership with business. It's applied learning opportunities, work-based learning opportunities, internships. There's a focus on college and career, as well as 21st century or durable skills related to a culture of teamwork, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. It's a multi-sector effort, as I said before, that requires the full participation of the business community, higher education, nonprofits, all across the board, really working together to create positive outcomes for this particular effort. And as Dr. Blakey mentioned, representatives from Albuquerque attended the study visit September 30th through October 2nd. There were 16 representatives from Albuquerque from various sectors that attended. So it was a United Way, Rising Together team. Rising Together is now known, what was formerly known as Mission Graduate, APS, ABC Community Schools, CNM, Sandia National Labs, Fidelity Investments, the Hispano Chamber. Thank you, Ernie, for sending a representative. Future Focus Education, the New Mexico Black Leadership Council, and the New Mexico Chamber of Commerce attended. And so folks really got a chance to be immersed in the academy model, and they got to visit a few high schools to see the work in action. And really the intention around this is to potentially pilot this approach in a few high schools, beginning with high schools that are community schools, because we know that, for example, in Anaheim, where they had a community school model with an academy model built on top of it, they saw even higher positive outcomes in terms of graduation rates. They're graduating students in the 90 percentile in Anaheim by combining a community school model with a wall-to-wall career academy model.
Rodney, I think you froze.
January. So I'll turn it over to Terry, and Terry can talk a little bit about her experience, and certainly other folks can chime in as well.
Hi there. So this was a fabulous visit. As Rodney said, we had a large group. Everyone was very engaged, and we were split up into 2 groups and went to the different high schools. A couple of things to note about the way that they implemented this is, again, it started back in 2007, okay, 2006, 2007, when the school district was getting ready to be taken over by the state because of their poor graduation rates. And this really made a huge, huge difference to this district. But the implementation meant that they had to have the community, the teachers union, the teachers, the business community, everyone on board, parents, students. And they spent a long time implementing this. It required an enormous amount of teacher support. There is no way this can be done if you don't have a huge amount of teacher support. And even to this day, Nashville's high schools have a tremendous schedule that allows for teachers to have enough time to not only meet with each other and collaborate in teams, but also to do their own planning. So this is something that takes time to implement. Forward Next Generation Learning, which helps guide communities into developing this system, takes 5 years. They start by, really talking and getting immersed into the community, and then they start envisioning what this is going to look like for this community. And basically they did say, if we're going to do this in Albuquerque, we need to have a plan that eventually means all high schools, and present that plan. Even if we start with just a couple of high schools initially, they say it works best. And even the Department of Education says this works best if the whole school are the academies. This isn't an opt-in, opt-out. This is like the James Lawson High School has 4 academies: the Academy of Art, Design, and Communication, the Academy of Business and Hospitality, the Academy of Engineering, and the Academy of Health Sciences. And so students can either opt into one of those academies, or they can go to a different high school with different academies, and the public bus system is free to them to be able to use and get to other high schools. This system works really well for Nashville, but we've also heard about it in Racine and Akron and Louisville and Anaheim. And our visit, I think, was, and if any of you get a chance to read Angela Serrano de Rivera's testimonial, Rodney, I don't know if you've sent that out or not, but she gave a really good overview of her perspective. And she's with the Hispano Chamber. She's also with New Mexico Gas. But if you get a chance to read what she wrote, this was a really fabulous trip. And I know, Deanna, you and Jake were on board. So I don't know if you all want to add anything.
And I think Ernie has his hand up as well.
Okay.
Did you want to add anything?
Well, and thank you, because I have this in front of me, and I could give you the summary of what she wrote, what Angela, but if you've already sent it to everybody, then I don't need to do that. That's just what I was willing to do. So whatever you think.
I have not sent it, so okay. Would be good.
Well, let me just go through her key takeaways. So I'm not going to read the whole document, but let me just give her the key takeaways from her document, and then maybe you can send it to everybody. So she said a couple things here. By aligning our schools with the needs of local industries, we can create a seamless pipeline from the classroom to the workforce, empowering our students to step into high opportunity careers that build a stronger, more prosperous Albuquerque. And then she had the key takeaways: student success in college and careers. The program focuses on increasing the number of students who succeed in higher education, career pathways, and leadership roles. Equitable education. A primary program principle is educational equity, ensuring that students from all backgrounds, particularly those furthest from opportunities, receive the support they need to thrive. Community and workforce integration. It strengthens the talent pipeline by aligning school programs with local industry needs. This would benefit Albuquerque by preparing students for high demand jobs, which support local economic growth. Transformational teaching and learning. The framework promotes career-focused academic programs, integrating real world applications, creating engaging learning environments that better prepare students for post-secondary education and the workforce. And then the collaboration between schools and community. She said Ford NGL emphasizes partnerships between schools and community stakeholders, businesses, families, and post-secondary institutions, fostering shared accountability for student success. So then she went on to say, implementing this program in Albuquerque, APS could improve educational outcomes, better prepare students for future career opportunities, and boost community prosperity. So that's kind of a brief statement of what she said. But if I could send it to whoever it is to send it to everybody, I'm happy to do that.
That'd be great. Can you send it? Deanna, do you have it, or?
I do have it. I will send it. Yep.
Okay, so you guys got it. All right.
Great, thank you.
Cheers.
Anybody else have anything to share about the visit? I think there's a lot of great things happening in them and a lot of ways that we can start somewhere. So I look forward to, the follow-up on the work and looking at how we can move forward on this. Ellen.
It sounds wonderful, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to go. I did talk to Jerry. He was fascinated by the small class sizes, giant high schools, 2,000 kids, and small class sizes. And he would, I think we need to figure out how they fund all of this, because their funding mechanisms and ours are very different. I so appreciate everything you said, Terry, about what you took away in terms of full involvement and understanding from all the educators. And then he also said something about the school district and the way they work with special ed students. Did anybody understand? So I don't understand, somehow they weren't included in these academies.
No, oh, go ahead, Deanna.
Okay, well, I asked about that as well, actually, Ellen, because I noticed that the numbers of students with disabilities in the demographic information they were sharing were surprisingly low.
Right.
I haven't checked the record, but my understanding is that there was a lawsuit filed which allowed for families with students with disabilities to receive vouchers to private schools. And so I believe what I was told is that many students with disabilities attend those schools on vouchers rather than the traditional public schools, but I have not checked to see if that's an accurate statement.
Okay, well, we're not going to emulate that. All right.
Yes, and that's the important thing to know too, is it's getting the ideas from other places and then making it into like how we can make it fit into our landscape of where we are. And that's why I like some of these models, because they're not like cookie cutter of do this, this, and this, but here's a framework and then we can establish it to make sense for us. And so look forward to future discussions on this and the follow-up with all the teams. I know we're scheduling something to get back on so before too much time passes and then it becomes 2019 again, and we have to start all over again. So we will move on it. So thank you, everybody. And in the interest of time, I just wanted to close with a few announcements. The United Way Attendance Conference, Building Agency, Belonging, and Connectedness is Monday, October 28th. It is from 8:30 to 1:30 at Bonifacio. Our ABC team will have a table there to share the latest research and data from the Learning Policy Institute, which really shows how the community school strategy reduces chronic absenteeism. So we're really excited for that. And if anybody would like to swing by on the 28th for the attendance conference, that would be great. On Wednesday, November 6th, there will be a guardrail demonstration of community schools, partnerships, and success systems. And that will be at City Center. And I believe it's before the board meeting, Brian? Yes. You're like in a really tiny box, and I think that was a thumb that went up. So that will begin at 4:00 before the board meeting. As we mentioned, it's one of the guardrails, and so that will be a showcase November 6th. And are there any other board member or community announcements that anybody else has to share with the board? Okay. With that being said, the next meeting of the ABC board will be on November 14th at 8:45 a.m. We will